Go to page 18, C 377407, State of Nevada versus Duane Keefe Davis. The record reflects that Mr. Davis is present in custody. Mr. DiGiacomo and Mr. Bilal are here on behalf of the state. Mr. Davis, sir, have you retained counsel to represent you in this case?
You need 2 weeks, he said, to be here.
He needs
He needed a continuance. 2 weeks.
He said he needed 2 weeks to be here?
Oh, yeah, he needed a continuance for 2 weeks.
Okay, and what's his name again?
Edie Fall.
Edie Fall?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to continue this matter for 2 weeks on a Thursday. That date is?
October 19th at 9 a.m.
Okay, we'll be back on that date.
Welcome back, guys. I trust you're staying safe. Now, Tupac Amaru Shakur's murder suspect, Keffe D, aka Duane Davis, was seen in court for the first time since his arrest today. And unfortunately, the court proceedings couldn't really follow because Keefe D's lawyer didn't actually show up. It's not quite clear why his lawyer didn't show up, but, well, the arraignment failed to proceed because the lawyer failed to show up. Now, this self-proclaimed Compton gangster briefly appeared in the Las Vegas courtroom today after he was arrested last week Friday in connection to the murder of Tupac Amaru Shakur on the 7th of September 1996. This is almost 30 years after this crime happened. And there is more to this. There are rumors, or let me say it's actually even been confirmed, that Keefe D at a point was bragging that the police had nothing on him. We'll get into that before the end of this video. But if we go back to how he appeared in court today, Keefe D entered the packed courtroom in a navy blue prison uniform with chains on his legs and waist. Now, I'm not happy when I see people in that situation. Honestly, it gives me a feeling that I struggle to shake off. But I respect the intent of that setup all the same. And seeing Keefe D in that situation, a man of 60 years, at best, he's a grandfather. I think that it's a sight you would wish his family wouldn't see. But unfortunately, it's on the news and, well, it's on the media and also on my channel because it's news. So it's unfortunate, but that is where we are now. And Keefe D was due to be arraigned on murder charges, but then, like I said, the hearing couldn't come on because his lawyer didn't make it. So, as a result, the whole thing has been postponed to the 19th of October. And as it stands, it couldn't come on because his lawyer couldn't make it. I'm really curious to find out what led to that, but I'm sure it's something that was beyond his or her control. He is still then being held without bail. And anytime it's like this, it's either the case is that serious or the person poses a risk flight or the flight of a risk or poses the risk of flight such that they don't want to give him that chance. But then, in this particular case, prosecutors indicated that they wanted to ask for no bail setting because they believe, under Nevada law and evidence in this case, that the proof against Keefe D, aka Duane Davis, is evident, and the presumption is great that Keefe D is going to be convicted of the first-degree murder of Tupac Amaru Shakur, and that justifies the asking for no bail setting. So the situation is that critical for Keefe D. The prosecution is hell-bent and very determined and very confident that they can get a successful prosecution for the first-degree murder of Tupac Amaru Shakur. So at this point in time, Keefe D is in very, very deep and hot waters. Now, it also came up that Keffe D's past comments regarding his supposed cancer diagnosis would not affect the trial or legal proceedings in this case. He is still going to be held without bail. And looking at how things are going, like I said in my previous video, I think that the prosecution and the police, for that fact, have or may have overwhelming evidence against Keffe D. And for me, it explains how come they took their time to gather themselves before they went in to search his house and eventually arrested him. I think that they had done their background checks, they've done their homework, and they knew that they had only one shot at this and they needed to make sure it was perfect. So personally, I believe that Keffe D is going down and he has enjoyed his freedom up until the last day before he was arrested. And I don't think Keffe D is going to come out of this unscathed. I don't think he's even going to beat this case, honestly. I have a strong belief that some way, somehow, even if this first-degree murder charge does not stick, something else will stick. Keffe D, I don't believe, will come out of this unscathed 100% and just beat the rap. I don't think so. Now, they also confirmed this, the prosecution confirmed this, that they waited until the point in time when they had that degree of evidence before they moved forward. So it confirms what I said earlier in my 2 videos about Keffe D. If you haven't watched those videos, just go back in my playlist, look for the video about the origins of Keffe D, and look for the video about Keffe D being arrested for the 1996 fatal shooting of Tupac Shakur, and you will see that I mentioned it in there, that I think the police took their time, they bid their time, and they took their time to prepare and perfect their approach before they moved in because they wanted to get it right, and I think they are onto something huge. Now, the detectives have also said that this self-described gangster Keffe D is actually one of the 4 individuals connected to Tupac's fatal shooting in the early stages of the investigation. And it also turns out coincidentally, or some would say conveniently, that Duane Davis, aka Keffe D, is the only suspect in the case who is still alive. By extension, he's only one of the 2 people from that incident who are still alive. You might ask, who is the second man? Yeah, you guessed right. It's none other than Marion Suge Knight. He was in the car with Tupac at the time of the incident, and Duane Davis, aka Keffe D, was in the car with the other occupants of his white Cadillac. Now his nephew, Orlando Anderson, aka Baby Lane, Terrence Brown, aka Bubble Up, and DeAndre Smith, aka Freaky, have since all died. But this is where it really piqued my interest. Apparently, Keffe D was suffering from foolish pride, it turns out, because sources in Las Vegas actually revealed that Duane Davis, aka Keffe D, was so confident he was untouchable. He supposedly laughed at the police behind closed doors and mocked law enforcement for several years up until his arrest last week Friday. And originally, we know that he's from Compton and he's a self-proclaimed gangster. So Duane Davis would go on reportedly to boast about trying to organize tours of the Las Vegas Strip as a limo driver, and in doing so, he would go on to boast about the moments of the fatal shooting involving Tupac Shakur's passing. The source also indicates that Keffe D openly mocked the prospect of justice for many years when he felt that the police were never going to take action against him. After all, it had been over 2 decades after the murder, and he almost went into hyperdrive allegedly when he talked about his role in the death of Tupac Shakur. You could feel the excitement in how he talks about it. That's not to imply he was enjoying it per se, but I think that he just snitched on himself, literally. He blabbed on himself. The source actually goes on to explain that there are times when Keffe D will be at parties and events and enjoying the limelight because he was now being seen as the man who knew the secrets of how Tupac Shakur passed. And imagine the adrenaline and the crazy perceived excitement that could come with, because the passing of Tupac Shakur in itself was a ground-shaking incident, not to talk of the fact that there is so much mystery and controversy around the case that it's taken almost 30 years and has not been solved. So to be the man walking the face of the earth, and the only man for that matter, who has the inner juice on what happened that night, this guy could have started his own TV show, and I wouldn't be surprised if he would have accepted it if it was offered. Now, it's also been reported that it was to the extent that when people would ask if Keefe D had fears of police taking action, Keefe D would actually go on to say, the police ain't gonna do shh. Yeah. Yeah, that's how confident he was. I think he felt that he was just above the law, or he had gotten away with whatever he had done or played a part in on that fateful night. It's also been reported that he even allegedly told some associates of his that he had a long-standing deal known as a prophet deal, which would protect him from prosecution. Now, this is crucial because if you listened to DJ Vlad's interview with Piers Morgan, he went on to talk about the fact that Keefe D probably didn't understand the implication of this so-called deal. And I think this is where street smart begins to lack a bit. You know, there's book smart and there's street smart. And most often in life, for certain things, street smart sort of beats book smart. But I think in this case, as far as legal interpretation of that deal he had, street smart probably was not enough for Keefe D, or he was just, as being reported, full of foolish pride, because it seems he did not understand what he was saying. It turns out that Keefe D's alleged foolish pride finally will get him into this trouble we are talking about today, and his lack of knowledge of the law might end up costing him his freedom. Now, the Las Vegas Metro Police are reportedly at a position, or were at a position, where they had not even taken much of an interest in the Tupac case for many years, because they thought the case had hit a point where they wouldn't be able to get any compelling enough evidence to move forward and find a suspect and prosecute. But then, here came Duane Davis, aka Keefe D, with his own loud-mouthed boasts and comments, which would eventually lead to him becoming a person of interest for the Metro. And then detectives allegedly discussed with the district attorney on whether these comments being passed by Keefe D in interviews and in public could help them seek a prosecution against him for the first-degree murder of Tupac Shakur. So it confirms what I said in the first two videos, that the allegations might be true, that Keefe D actually just snitched on himself. And I don't think it's just foolish pride, even if there was such a thing. I think that this was the truth haunting Keefe D. He had gotten so full of himself, he probably felt that everything was up and done with. The case has probably expired and he could just talk about it and revel with the attention it brings. But that is where he probably went wrong. I'm sure he didn't know that crime doesn't expire. It doesn't matter if it's taken over 27 years. You can still get prosecuted and that is what he is facing now. So, with all this ongoing, Keffe D ignored police when they made several efforts to reach out to him, because initially they didn't really want to go all out to arrest him. They invited him over, but Keffe D refused. Detectives are reportedly giving account of the fact that they went around to talk to him, but then Keffe D told the police that they don't have anything on him and that he wasn't going to cooperate with them or even pay attention to their requests for them to see him. And then, finally, the police resorted to the action they took, where Keefe D, as of last week Friday, the 29th of September 2023, will end up being arrested and subsequently being charged for the first-degree murder of Tupac Shakur. Now, he has appeared in court today. The proceedings, unfortunately, couldn't go as was expected because his lawyer couldn't show up, and has been postponed to the 19th of October. That is just about 2 weeks from now. He is being held without bail, and I fear for Keefe D. I really fear for him, because I think he might not beat this. I said this earlier. I don't think Keefe D will beat this. With the level of confidence that the prosecution has, I don't see any way Keefe D will beat this. If he is not found guilty of being directly the one who fired the shots, at least per the things he has said, even with my little knowledge in law, I can argue that he has already snitched on himself as being guilty of the conspiracy that ended up getting Tupac Shakur killed. At a point, he even spoke about he passing a weapon that was fired at Tupac. So I struggle with my lay mind that Keefe D will beat this. I doubt it. I don't know how good his lawyer is, but, well, in the eyes of the law, it's always said that everyone is assumed innocent until proven guilty. I'm waiting to see how Keefe D's lawyer or his legal team will beat this. Already, it's also been reported that there is a key witness seeking to help the police prosecute. Following this case, I will bring you updates as and when they are due. Until then, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and keep an eye out, bringing you updates as and when they are available. Stay safe out there. Catch you on the next one.